Okay, this is my Continental combined, mirrored, whatever it is. A couple of things I want to mention. I don't wrap my yarn. I put it between my little finger. The reason I do that is I can bend my finger and use this joint or this joint, the crease in the knuckle, to control the tension if I need to hang on to it for a second. The other comment I wanted to make about this is I don't pull my work off the needle, which distorts things and causes sort of random stitch sizes. I keep my fingers right against my work, and it doesn't matter knit or purl, I keep my fingers right against my work. I don't seem to have any trouble, but because I don't pull my work off, I push my work off. When the needle makes the stitch, I don't pull my work off at this point. I push my needle through. That creates the stitch. It's the right size. I don't have to mess with it again, and I just push my needle out of that stitch and let it fall off. Push my needle through. That creates the right size stitch. I have almost no tension. See, I have almost no tension on my yarn. I can add tension to my yarn by crimping my, see how it's caught in that joint right there? I can create tension if I need to, but it's better if I don't, because the size of the needle makes the stitch the right size. I could probably just hang the yarn down, but it does make it just a little more convenient if I can hang on to that. See, just push my needle through and that creates the right size stitch, and then push my needle out of the stitch, and that keeps, ooh, dog hair, nice. That keeps the stitch from being disformed. So there you have it. That's what I do. Now I do exactly the same thing when I go the other direction. I got a couple more things I want to show you too. Alright, so here we are going the same way. You can see I hold my yarn exactly the same. And I make my stitches the same. Can you see I hold my needle here back with these two fingers. I hold it, and that lets me push these stitches up and down the needle as I need to. Oop, split that baby. I seem to be more inclined to pull the work onto the needle with this hand and push it onto the needle with the other hand. I know my stitches are the same size both directions because I don't try and create the stitch with tension. I use the size of the needle to determine how big that stitch is going to be. Every time I push the needle out, I'm pushing these stitches up the needle. I'm throwing the yarn. People say, do you pick or do you throw? And when they say, do you throw, they are, I lost a stitch. I dropped a stitch. It's right here. They are talking about the gross throw movement, not what you do with the tip of your finger. So this is so I'm actually throwing, but it's not what people normally expect. When people say, do you throw, they expect you to actually let go or to use some gross finger movement, and it just isn't necessary. The tip of your finger can do everything you need to have done. Okay, a couple more things I want to show you. You know about stitch mount. I have the leading leg in back. If I want to change the direction the stitch coming back is going to be, I will wrap my yarn the opposite direction around the needle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this next row in rib, but I'm going to set it up so that when I come back the next direction, all of the stitches are positioned on the needle so that I don't have to knit through the opposite side of the, now you see I'm wrapping the yarn the opposite direction around the needle. That can be a little awkward, but if you practice it, it's just a matter of tipping it around the needle and rotating your wrist. So you're going to tip it around the needle. See how I've crossed my tips, and rotate your wrist. If you try and do it by holding your hand still, it makes it difficult. But if you wrap and rotate, it becomes second nature. Now, all of my stitches, when I come back and go the opposite direction, will be positioned so I can knit through the back leg of the stitch. So here we go. Oh, one more thing. If you use straight needle tips, it adds a little more stress to your hand, and it makes your work a little heavier when your work gets big, because your work wants to hang on the needle and not slide. I use a little tubing bender, and I bend. Now here is that purl stitch that I wrapped the opposite way. Now do you see the leading leg is in the back? That makes the entire row go really fast because I don't have to knit a front leg. These needles are really not the right ones for this. These are sharps. I like sharps because they warn me when I'm adding too much tension to my work, because they don't slide down the needles like they should, and then I end up poking my finger. Sort of a hey you moment. There you have it. And because I knit the same both ways, you don't see a difference in the size of the stitches from one direction and the other, and that makes it real easy. There you have it. I hope this helps.